Hello everyone, and welcome back to another phenomenal edition of Inside the Nest. You all get a brand new host today. I'm Connor Cupin, and I'm pumped to bring you all the best news within Montclair State Athletics. There is so much going on, from basketball season starting, men's soccer winning the NJAC championship, to both men's and women's soccer making it to the NCAA tournament. And we're going to cover it all right here. So let's get straight into it with the men's soccer team through the first weekend of the NCAAs.
The Montclair State Redhawks will be defending home turf against the Soaring Eagles of Elmira.
This is the team that I expect to really make a deep run into these NCAAs.
Coming in to save the day, but Lukovic breaking through, shot, goal Montclair! Two defenders trailing now in the box, try slotting it on that far post and mere inches away from making it a brace. Get over with Lukovic. Lukovic showing it off, trying to get back, overtakes the contact. Penalty is given, and Torre, who was, I believe, the tackler, is furious. We'll see if he can put the team on his back one more time. Lukovic goes, and he slots it in, and that should do it. The Montclair State Redhawks, where they will go on to face the winner of our second header game, Christopher Newport versus Manhattanville.
This is a great night for some soccer. I mean, last week we announced the NJAC finals. Today we are here in the D3 round 2. I mean, this is a great place to be right now. Montclair is happy to be home, and we're excited to announce it and get this game started.
Shot coming in, Keenan gobbling it up. That should be the half, as we are still tied up at 0-0 after one half of play. 3 shots on goal for Christopher Newport, no shots on goal for Montclair State. With the cross, headed by Carson, and oh, goal Montclair State! It's broken open. Amir Lukovic getting the pick off of the hit. Trying to get a pass to Uribe. A shot coming in. As Jones tries to put equalizer. Up, met by a wall of white. Hanging onto it, shot coming, and a tip over the bar. A shot coming, that one looks to be deflected. A header into the back of the net. And they're gonna call a foul offside as we head to OT. Both teams tied 1-1.
When Amir Lukovic scores a goal, Montclair State is 36-2-2 in the last 3 years.
Sending it into the box, Dewey coming off, and that's a goal! Montclair State! And again, Amir Lukovic with Superman antics. Foul, no good. And the nail in the coffin, Amir Lukovic with the hat trick in the corner on the celebration. Montclair State heads on to round number 3, where they will meet Connecticut College.
The women had their own NCAA journey on Saturday as they headed to Virginia Wesleyan University for the NCAA tournament after receiving an at-large bid. The 20th ranked Redhawks lost to the 23rd ranked Marlins after penalty kicks, and transfer standout Megan O'Callahan scored in the 10th minute, with Aileen Cahill netting her 12th goal of the season to tie it 2-2 in the 62nd minute. Haley Martin made 7 saves, but it wouldn't be enough. Montclair missed the first PK before VWU took a 1-0 advantage, and the two sides missed the next 7, but Kim Campbell hit to tie it at 1, needing 1 to win. Adriana Gunter converted the game winner, sending VWU into the second round. Coach Notter had this to say after the loss: "A great effort, great battle, everything that's good about Division III college soccer. I loved how we started the game, and to be able to fight back and tie it up, our kids were amazing. That's a real good team. You can tell why they went to the Final Four last year, and I thought that the game came down to literally an inch here and there. And today was not the day for us, but it's not because of how our kids played. They were excellent all year. The Redhawks had another outstanding season, finishing 13-3-3. Now we're going to switch up the pace a little bit and see how the cross-country team took on the NCAA action down at Rowan.
The Redhawks had their final meet on the course this season, taking on the NCAA Metro Regionals. They finished 13th amongst 28 teams with a grand total of 389 points. And for those who don't know, in cross country, the lower the score, the better. Among Montclair State's top finishers is graduate student Aubrey Johnson, who placed 19th overall with a time of 23 minutes and 2.3 seconds.
I'm thrilled with it. I really gave it everything I had, and I PR'd by a pretty decent margin. So I feel like I can walk away being proud of that result as well.
With the current season coming to a close, Johnson gave us some insight on next year. And here are a few runners you should look out for.
Definitely Denise. She's making a lot of progress, and I know she's really hungry to come back and do even better next year. Julie's had an incredible season. I mean, the whole team, everyone has PR'd this season, at least a college PR, I'm pretty sure. We're going to make a lot of progress next year as a whole. I think that we're going to finish a lot higher as a team.
And with that, the 2023 Montclair State cross-country season comes to an end. We'll see you next year.
A ton of teams are giving it their all in these NJAC and NCAA playoffs, and it doesn't end there. After narrowly making it to the NJAC tournament, here's Luke Sirianni with a report on the volleyball team.
The women's volleyball season officially comes to an end after an NJAC loss to Kane University last Tuesday 3-1. Finishing above a 500 record at 16-4, there are a lot of positives to their season. With a top win streak of 4 games and a top losing streak of 7 games in a row, their season was a roller coaster to say the least. They had a lot of success through the NJAC Conference honorable mentions Rachel Curran and Sky Ramsey, who put up tremendous numbers throughout the season. Curran and Ramsey are the team's top 2 kill leaders, controlling the Redhawks' offensive attack. Although we likely saw the last of graduating students in Sky Ramsey and Kelly Waterman on the court, there's a lot of young talent to fill in for them for years to come. Lily Thomas and Zoe Horn are both freshmen that have made a name for themselves, just to name a few. Thomas had 102 kills on the year, while Horn had 120. Although this team started off slow, they stepped it up at the end of the year to make the NJAC playoffs as a 6th seed. The season is officially over for the volleyball team, but looks like there's a bright future ahead going forward. Here are some of these stats from Tuesday's matchup, Montclair State versus Kane University. Kane won 3-1 on sets, 29 errors to Montclair's 19, 60 kills to Montclair's 46, and 167 attacking attempts to Montclair State's 165.
Such a strong end to this season for volleyball, but now we're going to be moving away from the court, and we're taking it to the gridiron. I'm joined by my fellow broadcast intern, Anthony Cafone, ladies and gentlemen, and he's going to share us a little analysis on head coach Mike Palazzo's first season. So, Ant, Montclair State just wrapped it up. They lost 45-14 to Muhlenberg, but 5-5 overall record, 4-2 in the NJAC. You got to say the season's a success, right? A complete turnaround.
Yeah, it's a resounding yes for me on terms of whether this season was a success. The Redhawks under Palazzo experienced many twists and turns throughout this season, including losing starting quarterback Andrew Sanborn midway through the season. But throughout all of those trials and tribulations, this team came up time and time again. If you look back at the 2022 Redhawks, they were 0-6 in the NJAC. This year, 4-2. That's a really big turnaround for a first-year head coach.
And you got to talk about the offense as well, just completely unlocking a new gear, and Palazzo was able to figure it out. Huge jump from last season.
Absolutely. In 1 year, the MSU offense went from 6th in the NJAC in total yards per game to 3rd. And that's a huge jump, 311.8 yards per game as an offense, which is such a complete turnaround. I think most of that you have to really contribute to Henry Lewis. I mean, the sophomore running back came in this year, 724 rushing yards, led the entire NJAC, 5.7 yards per carry, which was a full yard ahead.
That's insane numbers right there.
A full yard ahead of anybody on in the NJAC in terms of rushing yards per game.
That might not seem like a lot, but that's really a ton. When those running back numbers, you think about it, some average 3, and the difference between 3 and 5 when you really add up every carry together is insane.
Yeah, 5.7 yards per carry is Nick Chubb numbers. We're talking NFL right there. Nick Chubb, one of the greatest running backs in the NFL right now. And he probably is going to be named first team All-NJAC in terms of running backs this year. But now, as a sophomore, you still have him for a couple more years. He's going to be leading this backfield for many years to come.
And with a good run game, got to talk about the O-line as well. If the passing attack, the rushing attack has been all improved, and all starts with that offensive line, those 5 guys up front. A huge season for them, right? You got to give them credit.
Yeah, only 11 sacks given up this season, which was 20 less than 2022.
20 less.
That 20 less sacks in a year, in 1 year turnaround, is such a big accomplishment for this offensive line group. Sam Ray, Chris Armstrong, all those guys up front really deserve a lot of credit for the way they've really built this offensive line. We talked to Ryan Whalen a few weeks ago, and he really talked about how this team, this offensive line has really gelled together, how they've really worked throughout summer and had this communication, had this sort of skill set, and a lot of the older guys take younger guys under their wing, and that's been such a big improvement that you've seen on this offensive line.
Yeah, every play starts with them if you don't have the time to throw or get a run ready, and it feels like not many people look at that position and see this is where every play really happens, so got to give them their credit.
Lewis isn't doing 5.7 yards per carry without the offensive line. It's just a simple fact. And the way this offensive line has really come up huge this year, you got to be impressed with the way they've really looked at the problems that they had the year before and really addressed them. And this year coming into it.
Phenomenal year. You saw them scoring left and right in special teams. Every phase seeming to do their part.
Yeah, on the defensive end, it really was a really big year. And I want to really highlight the red zone defense this year for Montclair State, which was top of the NJACs. Only 60% of drives ended in a score. 5 turnovers forced in the red zone, which is unheard of.
And that's the most important place to play your best defense. You know, you can play your best defense at the 50, but if it's in the red zone where the other team's about to score, and that's when you perform at your peak, perfect.
I mean, the fact that this defense, led by Nick Burgess, 101 tackles, led the entire NJAC in total tackles.
Monster.
He's a monster. A beast. I mean, he leads this defense night in, night out. And to have that inside linebacker presence that Burgess really brought this season, and then you had the outside, Jalil Terrell, Sherrod Cooper, Buck Wald at the safety position. You had Dimitri Polly coming off the edge. You had a really tight-knit group that had years of experience together. And the way that Burgess really united this defense around each other, it's impressive. And I think Mike Palazzo, we already talked about him. He's a defensive coordinator the year before, which they had the second best defense in the NJAC 2 years ago. He already brings that defensive presence. Liam Nelson coming in and taking over as defensive coordinator. I really think the defense really found their stride towards the end of the year as they really were having some pretty key games. They only let up 14 points to Christopher Newport, which was
a big game. That was one of the best. They were right in there for that NJAC championship all the way to the end.
Yeah, I mean, and unfortunately we weren't able to get the NJAC championship, but the fact that they really beat Christopher Newport down in Virginia is such an impressive victory for this team and first-year head coach Mike Palazzo.
Well, and it was a pleasure here. I think everyone would call this first season a success, and so much pressure on those first-year head coaches, but a great result. Thank you so much, Anthony.
Thank you, Connor.
And now, with every day that passes, the weather's getting colder, the days are getting shorter, winter sports are officially here. Both men's and women's basketball tipped off this past weekend on the road. The men's team is 2-0 to start their season, blowing out Lycoming College 85-49, and then they won on a layup buzzer beater from sophomore transfer Kunga Sering to take down Penn College. Sering led the way with 22 points, adding 6 rebounds, but it was more than just defense in that one. The Redhawks defense caused 17 turnovers while only turning the ball over 9 times. On the women's side, they start the season 1-1. They took down Lehman College handily, with Megan Duffy leading the way with 18 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. But then they took an L to Vassar College. Duffy with a great game, 21 points, and Isabella Orlando made her presence felt on the box score. Assistant coach Katie Sire said she was still happy with the team's effort and hopes to focus on limiting turnovers as the season goes on. Both teams have home games this week. On Tuesday, NJCU comes to Montclair State for our first multicam broadcast, and that's not one you're going to miss. So that's going to do it for this fabulous edition of Inside the Nest. Be sure to check us out on Instagram at RedHawkSN, and all of our episodes will be up on our YouTube page at Red Hawk Sports Network. Huge thanks to everyone in the studio and the control room for another great show. And I'm Connor Cupin for the Red Hawk Sports Network, and have a happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And for all the people out there working in the field of sports, you'll be seeing us there at work covering all the live games you know and love. We'll see you next time. So ending animation.